Another thing that I did in the past that worked for me is planning my spells for when I'm going to be undisturbed. I know for a fact, if mom and dad were going out to supper with friends on Friday or Saturday night, I knew that was going to be the perfect time to do a spell. I know that we want to coordinate our spells a lot with the days of the week or the time of month or moon phase or whatnot. However, we might not have the option to be undisturbed during that time. So, definitely look and see what your family's social calendar is going to be like. There was always one day a week where my mother would go visit her parents. And there was also, another thing, when I actually got into the community college program that I wanted to be in, my courses were mostly online. So I would be at home Monday to Friday, and my parents, of course, would be at home Saturday, Sunday. So yeah, maybe I wasn't doing spells at midnight or something, but I could do spells at like 9:30 in the morning before I did my schoolwork, but after mom and dad had gone to work. So, be open to doing spells when you can. Again, it's all about intent. Everything that we do is about intent, and it should be. And this is going to bring me to my next tip for you, and that's using the internet to get your spells and also using YouTube. It's a lot easier to find something online than it is to go out and buy books and try to make sure that your books are hidden well enough so people can't find them. I don't know how much privacy you have. Now, when I was living at home, I did, of course, have my own room. I pretty well had the entire basement to myself. I never let anything out in the open, but I could still have books and not worry about somebody barging in. But if you, of course, are sharing a bedroom because you live in a dorm, or maybe, I don't know, you just don't have as much privacy. Maybe your parents just, they believe it's their house, and, if you're going to live there, you go by their rules, and that just you might just have to live with that. So yeah, it's easier to get spells off the internet and YouTube. Well, YouTube is part of the internet, but using websites and YouTube to get that information instead of trying to hide or conceal books from people. If you are sharing a computer, or from time to time somebody in your family may borrow your computer, you can always delete the history if needed. I don't know how snoopy your family is. The only time I ever really shared a computer was back in like the 90s and the 2000s when there was one computer in the home. Today, my parents share a computer, and I've had my own for 10 years now, which is nice. However, I understand that some of us may have to share our devices, and that's okay. Just make sure history is deleted. Oh my goodness, there's something going on in my apartment. It's really loud. Hold on. All right, that was strange. It just got really loud all of a sudden in the apartment, and then it got right quiet. I think everything's okay. All right, so back to using the internet. The only thing is if you're on YouTube, I would be careful about consumerism, not just in the aspect of witchcraft, but in all others. A lot of people are trying to promote businesses and products, which is wonderful, but it's so easy to get caught up into consumerism, and you really don't need a lot of fancy things to do witchcraft with. Use what you have. So yeah, just be careful. You'll want things. You'll feel envious that, people have, a whole room dedicated to witchcraft. Not very many people get to have those kinds of things. A lot of us are living with other people, and we don't just get to have special rooms all to ourselves that only us can use for, one purpose. A lot of us have multi-purpose rooms or have to put things up and tear them down as we go. That's okay. I completely understand and sympathize with that. Another tip I want to share with you is to not burn sage or incense. Like I said, in the previous video here, I love to burn incense. It's one of my favorite things to do. Same with candles. I pretty well would always have one going. However, my mother has a wicked sense of smell. She can smell anything. And so I remember when I moved back home, I was in the basement. I wasn't doing any magic. It was just a whatever kind of day. And I just put a stick of incense, in the rec room downstairs. And, she came downstairs and she's like, "Are you burning candles? Are you burning something?" She could just smell everything. I mean, incense are pretty strong, but she can even smell a candle when I burn it out, like everything. And she gets wicked headaches. So I knew that I couldn't use incense when I was practicing witchcraft because she would probably be at my door. And there was a time in which I was doing a spell. I can't remember what the spell was for, probably for school. And I remember I thought, I'll do my spells late at night because they're not going to, they'll be asleep and whatever. Oh my gosh, big mistake. Big, big, big mistake. Now, she didn't see me doing witchcraft, but when I blew out my candle, which, by the way, I don't blow out candles anymore. I use a snuffer. But when I was trying to do my spell, I was all in this like trance-like state, and I was peaceful. I was one with the universe. I was in the underworld, whatever I was doing. And then it's, "Are you burning candles?" Yeah. So if you, again, planning your time, as I said before, that is essential, but also, don't burn any sage or incense. You can use battery operated candles. But to cleanse the space itself, I have a couple of things to show you. You can, if you have a essential oil diffuser like I do, I got one for Christmas 2 years ago, so I didn't always have this, but you can use some sage oil or sage essential oil in your diffuser, and that will help cleanse the space. And of course, you can't forget plain table salt here. Just move this out of the way a little bit. Just plain table salt. You can sprinkle it around. It's kind of hard to see, but you can sprinkle it on wherever you're doing your work. Table salt is pretty cheap and it's easy to get. However, if you're in a situation where it's like, oh, we're out of table salt, or, and you can't get access to table salt, or they're going to question why you want table salt or why you go through so much table salt. This is something that I came up with. Bam. Epsom salts. These are meant for, your baths. And it makes sense that you're going to go through, your bath salts a lot quicker than, say, a box of table salt. So I always have a big jug of Epsom salts in my bathroom. And because while I was going to community college, I also had a job that was quite labor intensive. So it made sense that I would come home and, use this for baths. And of course I did. But you can also do things, use it to cleanse your space. And there's also some really good spells that you can do using, like a bath spell. So yeah, I tried the Epsom salts and it's great. Nobody questioned it just because it was normal for me to take a bath all the time. So